Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm Deborah Herman, and it's my pleasure and honor to be the director of OLLI at FSU and OLLI at FSU PC30A, which we will hear a little bit more about in a bit. This is the Fall Showcase of Classes 2021. I want to thank all of our instructors for their participation in our academic programming. OLLI would not be what it is without them. Registration will begin on Wednesday, September 15th, and classes for the most part will begin the week of October 4. We do hope to see you all in classes. Now, for a few introductions before I turn over the reins and we hear from the instructors, I'd like to introduce our OLLI at FSU Program Coordinator, Terry Aronson.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Good to see everybody.
Thank you, Terry. And Steve Howard is president of the Advisory Council for PC30A. However, Bill Potter, who is the membership chair, will step in to say a few words about what PC30A is. Bill?
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to talk to you all on behalf of the OLLI Advisory Council for OLLI FSU Panama City 30A, which got to be a long title for everybody. We're real excited about this upcoming semester and some of the opportunities. We're about 2 years old now. We decided to start an organization in an exciting time in everybody's history with the challenges. But frankly, that's actually worked out pretty well for us because thanks to the support at FSU, OLLI and the main campus and Deborah and the team and folks here at Panama City campus, we've taken full advantage of trying to learn how to use Zoom, but we're able to afford ourselves of opportunities we probably wouldn't have otherwise been able to. Here in our program, we focus on courses that are of a general interest, of course, but we also are trying to offer as many courses as we can that focus on unique persons, places, or things to our local community here along 30A and along the beaches of South Walton. In an effort to do more of that, we are also excited to explore the opportunity of doing these hybrid classes where we can do some as much as possible and safe to do in person, but for those that are either for whatever reason, whether that be distance or other things, that we can offer those on Zoom as well to leverage that. So with that, I will be silent and look forward to hearing about more of the classes, but thanks for the opportunity to talk.
Bill, before you go, would you explain a little bit about what, I know you said PC30A is on the coast. Could you just maybe tell a little bit more about where you hold classes?
Yes, certainly. We are focused, although our obviously FSU Panama City is in Bay County, most of our classes are offered here along in Walton County on the along what's referred to as 30A. We are using courses at a variety of places. St. Joe is offering some classroom space for us. We have a partnership with another learning institute here, which names escape me. Jamie, help me out here for a moment.
Ohana.
Ohana, there you go.
Ohana.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And we also have just recently, again, kind of through St. Joe contacts, are having some of our classes at Origins, which is a community development here. So the community's really stepped forward to offer a variety of venues for us to hold the classes.
All right, great. I think that's helpful. Thanks so much, Bill. Mm-hmm. And now let me introduce Harriet Wass. She's the president of the Advisory Council for OLLI at FSU. And Harriet will be introducing both of the vice presidents, Jack Mapstone, first VP, and Bruce Bouchard, second VP. And then she will then continue on to introduce the instructors by name. So thank you, Harriet. Please take it away.
Hey. Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending on when you're watching this. I would like to welcome you all and thank you for joining. And again, I'd like to thank all of the instructors. And we're really looking forward to another semester of wonderful, wonderful classes, and it's going to allow us to keep learning and to stay involved. We are here in Tallahassee, and all of the classes in Tallahassee are going to be on Zoom. We will have some face-to-face activities here in Tallahassee. I would like to introduce Jack Mapstone. If you are there, please wave or say hello. He is our first vice president, and Bruce Bouchard is our second vice president. Okay.
Yep, I finally found the click.
There you are. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and start with the course descriptions, and we are going to go in the order. You all received a list, I'm sure. So we're going to start with Mark Schlackman.
Well, greetings, everyone. It is a privilege to be once again associated with extraordinary instructors, both in and around Tallahassee and across the Panhandle, Panama City. It's a privilege in this instance to be teaching two mini courses, two 3-week courses out of Tallahassee. Both will be, of course, offered on Zoom, given the current circumstances. They'll both start during the first week in October on different days. So in the first instance, there is a Monday class, middle of the day from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. It's Great Decisions Fall Discussion Forum. And this travels largely upon or leverages the excellent, highly credible resources that are developed each year through the Foreign Policy Association. And we'll be exploring albeit on Zoom, in an interactive fashion, a discussion-oriented approach to some of the ongoing challenges associated with U.S. foreign policy and national interests, not focused upon any one administration, but the broad range. Again, what are the current issues, the emerging issues? So that should be a very lively forum. That is Monday, October 4, again, 11 until 1 p.m. And then later that same week, another 3-week course, this time special topics in human rights. And fortunately, or in many instances, unfortunately, there are a range of emerging issues that a forum like this will focus upon. So for instance, everything from human rights issues at the international level, certainly the national level, but also at the local level. As some of you may be aware, the mayor, for instance, of Tallahassee launched a local human rights initiative. We'll be exploring a treaty framework that the United States ratified, interestingly enough, signed by President Jimmy Carter and ratified during the administration of President George H.W. Bush, that essentially incorporates into U.S. law some human rights sensibilities that by and large a number of people may not be familiar with. So as always, it's a great opportunity and again, a privilege to be associated with so many extraordinary instructors and of course with all who staff and support FSU OLLI. So thank you so much. I hope to see some of you in October.
Thank you. And next we have Nick Santamaria.
Where? I love that guy. Where?
You are.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nick Santamaria, and I am a encyclopedia of vintage show business history. And starting on October 4th, I'll be teaching a 6-week course on the history of film comedy in America. And if I could, I'd like to show you a little video. But first, I want to show you, that's Jimmy Durante's hat.
Oh.
I always get a little wow. But anyway, that's how serious I am about this stuff. And I would like to share something with you. So if you'd all watch, here we go. Oops, that's not it.
Nick, I'm sorry. We weren't.
I can't do it, huh?
Right. Yeah, sorry.
I was just told that I can't show you the video, so I'll tell you about it myself. We're going to start at the very beginning, and I'm talking about the turn of the century. I'm going to teach you about the very first international comedy star, film star, and then who happened to come from France, but the American one as well. And we're going to go from there incrementally down the line, all the way up to what I call the end of the golden age, which is 1960, which is pretty much the end of the studio era. So we're going to be looking at all the studio comedians. I'm going to tell you all the histories of everybody, about their careers, about their personalities. You'll get the inside story. I am an author. I have a book coming out next year, in fact, from McFarland Publishing about Abbott and Costello. So you can see it is a very passionate thing with me. So I hope you all show up and enjoy. I'm going to be showing film clips that will make you laugh and make you remember. And I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tony Kirkwood Tucker.
Hello, everyone. Yes, it is a privilege to be part of the OLLI instruction. I am Dr. Tony Kirkwood Tucker, retired associate professor of FSU, and I'm teaching the Passion play of Oberammergau. Ladies and gentlemen, in the 17th century, during the 30-year war, an outbreak of the Bubumi Plague took place in Europe, devastating 1/2 of the European population. No vaccination was available as it is today. In my village of Oberammergau, in which I was born, which is located in the Bavarian Alps in southern Germany, about 10 miles off the Austrian border, 81 people died from this plague. You may know that the Bavarians of southern Germany are very religious people, predominantly Catholic. And the very religious townspeople of my village made a pledge to their God that if he or she would stop the plague, they would perform a play in his honor on his suffering, crucifixion, and ascension to heaven every 10 years. And guess what? The plague stopped. So ever since 1634, the Oberammergauer people, no outsiders, only those born in the village, perform this play. It has become world renowned, and the last attendance in 2010 was over 500,000 people. Please come to my class and learn more. It is given on Mondays, October the 4th, from 11 to 1. And I just realized it competed with Dr. Schlagman's class. Anyway, thank you very much. Oh, and one more thing, the whole class will be taught in German because I am from Oberammergau. So you all have to know German. No, it will be in English. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have Laura Gonzalez Morris.
Hello, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I'm very excited to be teaching OLLI again. Teaching Spanish is my passion and it's my happy place. And I'm privileged to be teaching 2 classes. One of them is a more basic class, and it is on Monday, October 4th, from 1:30 to 3:30. And the more advanced class will be on Thursday, also from 1:30 to 3:30. My beginning class is basically for students who have some working knowledge of Spanish. They may have taken a class with me prior, or it may be that they already have gotten some Spanish knowledge elsewhere. And the whole idea is to go into a little bit more depth. We will be talking about different kinds of verbs. And the most important thing is reading, writing, and most importantly, conversation. Spanish is a language that has to be spoken, especially in La Florida. So we really are looking forward to speaking. Now, some people have remembered it perhaps from high school where they were embarrassed to speak, but no, this is OLLI, and we welcome everyone, everything that they're speaking. If we need to make some corrections, no problem. We certainly can do that. But the idea is to get people comfortable with speaking. And it's very exciting to be able to go into another language to speak the culture, to know more about the culture and speak the language. So we will be talking about different things, and we do have some writing practice and some reading practice, and of course some conversation practice. And I hope that you can join me for this class, because I think you will enjoy it, because we do a lot of fun things. It's a fun class, not like your normal kind of Spanish class. This is sort of untraditional and very exciting. So really looking forward to seeing you how much you can progress during this class. My other class is a more advanced class. This one we're going to be going into past tense and talking about some other verbs. But believe me, this is not conjugation practice. This is conversation practice. There is a big difference. Okay, so we'll be doing different kinds of tenses like future and past and so on. And so we'll be able to use a lot of our vocabulary to use in our speaking. There is a book that I recommend that's been on the list. It's called Spanish for Everyone, that you can procure on Amazon. It's a very good reference book. And you'll also be getting a PowerPoint that we some of you may already have, but we'll be using again. And it'll be just fun to see the improvement that you have in your speaking. And of course, we always think about our accent, right? So if you speak 3 words in a perfect accent, they say, you speak great Spanish. If you hold a paragraph with that accent, no, you don't. But it's just such a fun class. I really enjoy it very much. And I think my students have told me how much they enjoy it, and they really feel great. And I will start with my maraca. Get started. And of course, we always have our fan. Okay, so come and join us and have a wonderful time. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Laura. Next, we have Austin Wilkes.
Ciao. My name's Austin Wilkes, and I am thrilled to be returning to OLLI to teach Italian for travelers, or as I like to call it, Italian for everyone, armchair travelers alike. So I hope you'll join me on Mondays on Zoom from 1:30 to 3:30 as we take a virtual journey to 6 Italian cities. And on our journey, we'll be learning bits and pieces of culture, things about food, things about wine, everyone's favorite, history, art history, music, anything you want to know. Now, this is not as grammar intense as a traditional Italian 101, but we're not just going to sit around and memorize phrases from our little Berlitz travel phrasebook either. Instead, I've developed a unique method that allows you to communicate right away. And you'll be creating your own streamlined system of communication in your own personalized phrasebook that allows you to communicate in real life situations with confidence and with a lot of fun too. So whether you're hoping to one day take an actual physical trip to Italy, or if your travels are limited to armchair, I really hope that you'll join me for Italian for Travelers, Mondays, 1:30 to 3:30 on Zoom. Grazie.
Thank you. And next we have B.N. Hibar.
Again, my apologies to everybody for not having the video camera, but my course is on the religions of Asia, and it is being offered on Mondays, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. It will begin on October the 4th and end, I believe, on November the 29th. What we're going to cover in this course are the 4 great religions of the Orient: Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, and Shinto. And it'll be done through well illustrated and well worded PowerPoint slides with my live narration and commentary. And I have done this for now the past 40 years. So this is a little bit of a resume on my course, and I thank all of the people in FSU, OLLI, OSHER for allowing me to teach this course. And I hope everybody will join us in making this course a course that you will enjoy, because it is meant to not only to educate, but to entertain as well. So it's informational and not confirmational. So please come and enjoy this course if you can. I will look forward to seeing everybody in here. And again, repeat, it's on the 4 great religions of the Orient: Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, and Shinto. And of course, Buddhism will be the chief highlight of this course for the simple reason it is the one single religion that unites the entire Orient, all the way from India to Japan. So it is, these traditions are all east of the Indus River, all the way to the Pacific Ocean. So that's where we find these traditions, the heartland of the religions of Asia. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Next, we have Bruce Anderson.
Yeah, I'm Bruce Anderson, and I teach American Political Science at Florida Southern College. My piece is entitled "The Constitution in the Context of Crisis." It's one session only on Monday, November 15th, 4 to 6 p.m. Central. Events without context are lost, and any examination of the Constitution has to be anchored in the era in ways that I think some of us may find upsetting. The Constitution of the United States was and is a document of its time. It was created by white men, for white men, and for the most part, for property owners. But unlike many documents of its time, it isn't actually time-bound. It was specifically designed to evolve. The people who gathered in the summer of 1787 in Philadelphia were aware that their creation was going to outlive them, though most likely thought it kind of a touch-and-go situation. If their lives taught them nothing else, it taught them that the political realities of the moment were subject to radical revision. Change was inevitable, and the ability of their guiding principles to adapt and be adaptive was paramount in their design. My talk is on the notion that the Constitution was born in crisis and is uniquely capable of coping with crises, even when that crisis concerns the document itself. I'll provide a general lead-in covering my main arguments, and in the second half, open the floor for questions and discussion.
Okay, thank you. Michael Kinnett.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Kennett, author of the Apalachicola Pearl novel series. It was in the historic town of Apalachicola I began caring for the Orman House Historic State Park Museum. The Orman family has an extensive archive, and I soon found myself immersed in local history, and for 13 years, it was my privilege to share Apalachicola's rich heritage with thousands of visitors from around the world. In this virtual book club, I'll share the events that inspired this unlikely author into writing the Pearl series of novels. We'll examine Apalachicola's commercial rise to power and its fall on the eve of the terrible war, known today more as the Civil War. We'll examine how the Orman family and other prominent citizens of the time became entwined into the storyline. I'll separate fact from fiction and introduce the characters I created to bring Apalachicola history to life. Apalachicola Pearl series of novels was born of my passion for the town's history and its unforgettable people. My sincere wish is for you to enjoy reading my Apalachicola Pearl series as much as I enjoyed writing. My course is called Apalachicola Gold, What Really Happened. The course is an author-led book club of Apalachicola Gold, the second novel in my Pearl series. I'll see you on Zoom Monday, October 4th and Monday, November 1st from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I look forward to our virtual visit. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Sturdivant.
Hey there, I'm Mike Sturdivant. I'm an instructor at the Ahana Institute on 30A. I'll be teaching a 3-part class in October. There'll be Monday nights in October from 5 to 6 p.m. on the 11th, 18th, and 25th. The class is an introduction to 3D printing. Here at the school, we have a makerspace and art studio with several 3D printers available to us, and I teach the kids how to use those printers to create a variety of objects. So many of you have probably heard of 3D printing. It's generally used for prototyping for manufacturing, but as the cost of those printers has come down, many other people are using them just in their homes even, and you can even go to the UPS store if you want something printed. So even if you weren't planning on having a 3D printer of your own, there could be an opportunity where you wanted to make an object. So the class will be oriented to helping you just understand what is 3D printing, and you will walk away, if you like, already having printed objects that we'll do in the lab together. The things that you hear about people printing, you might see a news article about printing a house out of concrete, or a medical device, or maybe printing human tissues and stuff. That's not what we will be doing. We will be printing using plastics. But if a knob falls off the radio in your car and you want a new one, you can pay BMW for $100 for a new knob, or we can print it for 8 cents. Or if you need some other little plastic part like that, then those are things that can happen at home. You simply download the file, click print, and the item is there for you to use in just a matter of minutes sometimes. So there are really some practical applications to the 3D printing, and I'd love to show you how you could use it. You don't have to have access to a printer in the future to use it. You can even email that file to a company, they'll print it for you, and then they'll mail it to your door. So anyway, I'd like to help you learn about that technology and even try your hand at printing. So I hope you'll join us for the introduction to 3D printing.
Thank you, Michael. Next, we have Larry Williamson.
Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Williamson, and the title of my course is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of Political Lobbying. This session will be offered one day and one day only, and that's Monday, November the 8th, starting at 5:30 p.m. That's Central Time. It'll be 2 hours starting at 5:30 Central Time on Monday the 8th. The session will be presented in hybrid form. We're going to do it in person at the Ohama Gathering Place. That's on Highway 98 in Inlet Beach, and the specific address is in the catalog. And then we will do it in Zoom as well for those who care to join us through that method. We're going to try the hybrid approach for that. I was a registered lobbyist in the Florida legislature for 5 years. And while I was director of government relations at the University of West Florida, I worked with contract lobbyists in Washington, D.C. on matters at the federal level. For 3 years, I served on the staff of United States congressmen here in the 1st Congressional District in Northwest Florida, and saw lobbying from the other side. So a good perspective there. And we're going to try to explain how lobbying can be beneficial and how it can be detrimental. We'll talk about what works and what it takes to be effective. Lobbying occurs at every level of political life, whether it's substantive legislation or appropriations or rulemaking, or down to the policy level at the lowest levels of government. So some lobbying is welcome and helpful, and some is counterproductive and problematic. Huge lobbying efforts are going on right now in Washington. We'll try to talk to some of that and explain it and explore it in detail. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. Please join us November the 8th. Thanks.
Thank you. Chet Vanduzer.
Harriet, I don't believe Chet is available today.
Okay, he was.
I'm right here.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Shall I go ahead?
Yes. Hi, Chet.
Hi. Hello, my name is Chet Vanduzer. I'm a historian of cartography. I've heard many people say, I love maps. This course is an opportunity to explore that interest. The course is titled Exploring Medieval and Renaissance Maps, and I'll be offering it on Tuesdays, October 26th, November 2nd, and November 9th from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. In this course, we'll explore the principal types of medieval and Renaissance maps, and particularly how those maps were made. And that is to say, both the process of a customer coming in and requesting a map and what that process entailed, and also the sources that cartographers used in making maps. So for most medieval and Renaissance cartographers, we have very little information about how they worked. But by studying the maps themselves, we can draw conclusions about the sources they were using, and that tells us at least something about their makers. And a few examples of the maps we'll be examining in detail. One is a series of late 15th century maps that show predictively what was thought would happen during the apocalypse. So the tremendous world-altering events of the apocalypse depicted on maps. Another is Martin Waldhimler's famous world map of 1507, the first map to apply the name America to the New World. The most expensive map ever purchased is now in the Library of Congress. And those are just two examples of the maps we'll explore. I invite you to join me. The course will be very visual. We'll see many, many images of maps, so you'll have a chance to enjoy these maps remotely and in detail. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And next we have Richard Bell.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Bell. I'm a professor of history at the University of Maryland, up near Washington, D.C., and the Library of Congress. I'll be teaching a three-part short course this November on Tuesdays, beginning, I think, on November the 2nd, about women and the American Revolution. And there's a lot to say, actually, because the Revolution was fought on battlefields and in forests and on the home front. And the contributions of American women shaped that fight at every turn. There were women who did important things on the Patriot side, on the Loyalist side, and on other sides as well. In the course of 3 sessions, we're going to look at this conflict from all sides, examining the lives of hopefully 5 women, including Benjamin Franklin's beggared sister Jane, including a woman named Deborah Sampson, who disguised herself as a man to serve in Washington's Continental Army, including a woman named Molly Brant, a native Mohawk who spent the war trying to hold a native British alliance together, including Martha Ballard, a midwife up in Maine, whose life tells us a lot about how women's lives changed and didn't change as a consequence of the American Revolution. We'll try to pull these women's lives together, put them in conversation with one another, and flesh out what this all means for the study of American history and women's history. Women in the American Revolution, 3 parts, beginning on Tuesdays in November.
Thank you. And next we have Linda Schuyler Ford.
Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Schuyler Ford, a performing storyteller, healing story practitioner, and teaching artist. And I love working with adult learners, so I'm thrilled to have this opportunity. The class I'm offering is Hometown Tales, finding and telling stories that reinforce a sense of place and why they matter. And they matter more than ever today, as you'll discover, as we delve into what I can only describe as some very serious fun. The course serves as an introduction to oral storytelling, but is also appropriate for people with some storytelling performance. We will look at local and regional folk tales that folks grew up hearing no matter where you live, historic events, personal anecdotes, and we'll look at where they intersect and reinforce a sense of place and build bridges to community and one another, something we really need right now. The class will be very interactive with some breakout sessions, reminiscing, story swaps, writing prompts. There will be a suggested reading list that I will tailor to each participant, depending on where they're from and what they're interested in. And we will then look at shaping those memories into stories that have a great impact on listeners, whether you share it with your family in your living room or on the stage somewhere. Hometown Tales, finding and telling stories that reinforce a sense of place and why that matters, is going to be offered virtually on Tuesdays, beginning October 5th and concluding November 9th, every day from noon to 2. And I would love to have you join me. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And next we have Margaret Macaulay.
Hi, my name is Maggie Macaulay, and I'm a professor of French whose research is devoted to travel writing. I've taught at the University of Virginia, the University of Provence, and now I teach at the Alliance Française. My course, Read, Write, Speak, Listen to French, meets on Tuesdays from noon to 2, beginning on October 5th, and that'll be via Zoom. You're welcome to bring your lunch. Food is, of course, at the center of French culture. This class is my dream child. It allows me to touch upon all 4 areas of language acquisition while also keeping class fun and teaching in interesting segments that move along at a friendly pace. Each week we'll start class with a song, learn new vocabulary and grammar, and have writing prompts that elicit grammar points. We'll read cultural, biographical, and autobiographical texts and travel through the web to all of the regions of France and some Francophone countries. Here are some highlights of the class. I will be inviting friends in Paris, Provence, the French-speaking Reunion Island, and Haiti to pop into our class and have discussions with us. We will have one or more virtual wine tastings. Everyone will speak, but absolutely no one will be made uncomfortable or put on the spot. This class is open to varying levels of students of French and continuing students. And it will be different from the class that I offered last session. If I have time, just a quick breakdown, we're going to be talking about painters and museums in our first class, astounding architectures for class 2, unforgettable regional and Parisian cuisine for our 3rd class, the secrets of Provence for our 4th class, cultural influence and landscapes of the Indian Ocean for the 5th class, and our last class will be devoted to lesser known chateau and chateau-based vineyards. I look forward to seeing you in class. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Next, we have Joseph Owens.
Hello, I'm Joseph Owens, Emeritus Professor of Physics at Florida State. I'll be talking about the discovery of elementary particles. 3 lectures will be on Tuesday, starting on October 26th from noon until 2 Eastern, and the lectures will be on Zoom. These lectures will focus on high energy physics, which includes the search for fundamental constituents of matter and how they interact with each other. Starting with ideas of early Greek philosophers, I will trace the development of our understanding through alchemy, chemistry, the structure of atoms, the nature of the atomic nucleus, and finally end up with a description of the standard model of particle physics involving quarks, gluons, and the Higgs boson. Along the way, I will describe various types of experiments, including large particle accelerators, such as those at Fermilab near Chicago and at CERN in Geneva, Switzerland. These lectures will be descriptive in nature, and so I will avoid the use of equations and complex mathematics and instead focus on the sequence of discoveries that brought us to our present level of understanding. I will also address some remaining outstanding questions and experiments that are underway to address these issues. I hope to see some of you starting in October. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey Thomas.
Hello, everyone. I'll be teaching Are You My Mummy? Meeting on Tuesdays from 2:30 to 4:30. In this class, we're going to basically discover and look at antiquity and specifically diseases in antiquity. So things that have affected the skeleton, arthritis, dental disease, trauma. We'll also look at kind of how these diseases were often used by cultures in antiquity. Things like human trophy taking. I'll give you guys a recipe on how to shrink a human head. If you're ever in that situation where you need to, you'll at least know how to do it. And then, of course, we will talk about mummies being the kind of bulk of the course. So we'll talk about ice mummies, dry mummies, wet mummies, bog bodies, pretty much everything, the origins of the term, the natural versus artificial, cultures from around the world that have engaged in some sort of body modifications and tattooing as well, just all kinds of different things in terms of paleopathology. So I hope to see you all there.
Great. Thank you, Jeffrey. Owen Devlin.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all again and to be teaching at OLLI. I teach history at the University of Cambridge, and I'll be teaching a course in this coming term called The British Civil Wars 1640 to 1650, which will take place on Zoom and begin on the 5th of October at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So we will have 6 two-hour classes to explore one of the most exciting and complex moments in British history. In the 1640s, in the decades that we'll be looking at, the British state and the social order collapsed. It fundamentally broke down into a crisis of civil war. And the story of this collapse has often been reduced to the story of a battle for political power between the monarchy of King Charles I and the English Parliament. But in this course, I want to open up the conversation and think about this as a crisis which was much, much broader than that, which was shaped by religious conflict, by social radicalism, and by the great challenge of trying to bring England, Ireland, and Scotland together as a single country for the first time. So this course will introduce students to a single decade in British history, a decade when the assumptions underlying British society and political structures and religious beliefs unraveled entirely. We will look at a range of different kinds of sources to try to appreciate the true complexity of this period of turmoil and strife. We will consider the military dimensions of the civil wars, but this course is not a course in military history. So we're going to be thinking about civil wars in the plural, more than one civil conflict. And we'll think about a whole range of characters and groups. We'll look at a king, a very human king, believing himself to be anointed by God and his supporters. We'll think about religious radicals trying to establish a kind of theocracy. We'll look at Democrats calling for one man, one vote, communists implementing a new kind of social equality in parts of Britain. And we'll think too about ordinary people, some of whom became partisans in the conflict, and many of whom simply tried to avoid it all and not get involved. So all of these people, all of these groups are important to the story of this decade, and we'll think about them and explore the true nature and meaning of this conflict. So I hope to see you all in a few weeks' time, and I hope that you will be able to join me to talk about these issues and to share your responses to this very complex but fascinating and exciting period in British history. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Marnie Richards.
Hi, I'm Marnie Richards, and I'm going to be teaching chair yoga Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2:30 to 3:30 Eastern Time, and we'll be all on Zoom. You might already know that yoga is a wonderful practice for maintaining and even increasing our strength, our stamina, balance, and flexibility. And it's also a great practice to kind of help us develop maybe a little better focus and attention, ability to stay present. But you might not know that chair yoga is real yoga. And in this practice, we'll be doing breath practice and movement and meditations, both sitting in a chair and standing using the chair for balance and support as needed. So I want to invite you right now to, since we've been here a while, to maybe sit a little straighter in your chair, maybe move off the back of your chair, maybe press your feet into the floor a little bit and feel that. And then with your arms in whatever range is comfortable for you, take a breath, breathing your arms out or up overhead if your shoulders are comfortable with that. And then exhaling. And then once again, pressing fairly strongly into your feet, feeling your seat in the chair, breathing up. And then exhaling. So in chair yoga, we'll be doing always centering practice, stretching and movement practice, and a closing meditation or practice as we finish the class. So I hope you can join us.
Thank you, Marnie. Next, we have Richard Weinstein.
Hello, I'm appearing on Mike's computer since I haven't got the vaguest idea how to Zoom. I started teaching in 1963. We had a blackboard and a box of chalk. In any event, I'll be here on October 5th. It's a Tuesday, 5 to 6:30, doing a class on what I refer to as the devil's breath, the first pandemic in 1918. We're not going to compare it to the modern horror show that's going on, but it's amazing how many similarities there are between the one 100 years ago and what's going on right now. The survivors, if they come back next week on October 12th, a Tuesday, from 5 to 6:30 Central Time, we're going to do 5 days on Florida, the Jilted Bride, the history of Florida and the American Civil War. Very little happened here in this state. But where I'm sitting right now in South Walton, there was some activity that's very interesting and affected the outcome of the war. So that's on Tuesdays, starting on October 12th, and then 5 Tuesdays after that, ending up on November 9th, the last class, also 5 to 6:30. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Stephanie Archer.
Hello, my name's Stephanie Archer, and I'm currently a PhD student at FSU pursuing a degree in music education and piano pedagogy, and I will be teaching the group piano classes this year. So I'm offering 2 classes. They'll both be held on Wednesdays, starting October 6th, running for 6 weeks. The first of which will be in the mornings at 9:30 to 11:30 Eastern Time. And this will be held on Zoom. So with it being a piano class and being on Zoom, you will need access to a keyboard or a piano. And so level 1 is for beginners. If you've never played the piano before and you've always wanted to, now is your chance. We'll be learning how to read music. We'll play simple tunes, familiar tunes from pop culture or folk tunes or even classical repertoire. And we'll also learn about chord playing, maybe do some improvising, and we'll spend time listening to some music as well. Level 2 will be held in the afternoons from 2:30 to 4:30, also Eastern Time. And this class is for people who have had some experience in piano. You don't have to have had a great deal. Perhaps you took lessons as a child and want to brush up on your knowledge and abilities. Also, if someone has taken the level 1 class previously in the past, level 2 would be the one to take. And we'll be expanding upon those skills that have been learned in level 1. So the playing will become a little more complex. We'll learn more about reading chord charts and lead sheets and even doing some playing by ear. So I'm looking forward to these classes, and they'll be a great time, and I hope to see many of you there.
Thank you, Stephanie. Next, we have Horst Wall.
Hello, my name is Horst Wall. I'm a retired physics professor from FSU, and my class will be on on Wednesdays, starting the 6th of October at 9:30. And after my failed attempt at stimulating interest for math last term, I decided to go back to a more less mathematical topics. And I will talk about something which many people find more sexy, which is stars, black holes, supernovae, etc. So we will talk about what stars are, how they work, what gives them their energy, how they are born, what is their life like, and how do they die. And we will talk about phenomena accompanying the death of stars, like, for instance, supernovae. Then we will talk about the remnants after some of these cataclysmic events, and among them neutron stars, black holes, and of course less violent things like white dwarfs and black dwarfs, etc. So again, the class is on Zoom, starting on the 6th of October at 9:30. Thank you.
Thank you. Dina Ramsey?
Hi, my name's Dina Ramsey, and I've been teaching technology courses to lifelong learners for the past 24 years. This fall, I will be teaching 2 classes on Wednesday. The first class will be Take Control of Your Inbox. So what's the secret to managing your inbox? I'm sure we've all spent a lot of time trying to figure it out. We will begin with how to adjust our settings, followed by email basics, send, reply, forward, and how to attach files, etc. Then you'll discover how to sort, tag, archive, and learn many tips that will make you feel at ease using your inbox. Please note, I will be using a Gmail account for this class, and you will need one as well. This class is on Wednesday from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. My next course would be Discover What You Can Do with Your Android Phone. We'll begin with navigating your phone, customizing your settings, and downloading Google Apps. We will examine how your Android saves your files and photos and learn how to set up folders and practice sharing them with family and friends. Learn how to use voice search, scan barcodes, find your phone, track your fitness, and much more. Hope you'll join me on Wednesdays from 2:30 to 4:30. I hope to see everyone there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina. Next, we have David Davis.
This is Dave Davis. I'll be teaching a course on Wednesday, 12 to noon on Zoom. The course is titled Extremism, the Power of Extreme Groups or Ideologies on the Course of History. In week number 1, we'll talk about To Kill a King. And in 1649, the Puritans in Parliament and the army tried and executed Charles I of England for treason against the people of England, a rather extreme idea. 127 years later, the American colonists, loyal to the king, will be egged on by extremists or radicals after 1765 to revolt against George III of England in 1776. 4 years later, in week number 3, the abolitionists will come on stage and move from a truly fringe group to the radical as being radicals in the 1830s and 40s to become the defining issue that will rip America apart during the Civil War. In week 4, we'll look at the second Ku Klux Klan of the 1920s. It becomes a case study of really where greed outpaces whatever doctrine they had. And then, of course, we have to look at Hitler and the Third Reich, and we'll look how a small group of Germans, really extremists, will take charge of a country that had a cultured, intelligent, critical thinking people who will willingly and enthusiastically support Adolf Hitler. Finally, in week 6, we'll take all this together and we'll ask ourselves, are we about ready to witness an extremist takeover of America? Can we apply the lessons learned from other extremist groups and extremist movements for the warning signs? Or do we simply sit back, take smug comfort that it can't happen here? That's it. Wednesday, October 6th will be the start, and 12 to 2 on Zoom.
Thank you. Arlene Pavone.
Hi, I'm Arlene Pavone, and I will teach the course From Prehistory to Picasso, a dozen magic paintings. It will be taught on Wednesdays from 12 to 2 p.m. via Zoom. The course studies 12 paintings dating from prehistory to the 20th century. Different stylistic periods, painting techniques, compositional aspects, and symbolisms will be presented and analyzed. The dozen of paintings is understood as three-dimensional evidence of varied historic periods and are considered by experts some of the most relevant ever created. Although 12 are mentioned in the OLLI 2021 fall catalog, many others will also be used to contrast and explain important points. Whenever possible, comparisons will be established with non-Western examples. If you go to the webpage, the OLLI webpage, and go to my name, you will find the list of the 12 major paintings we will be studying. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene. Next, we have Ken Brummel-Smith.
Hello, it's nice to be back with OLLI. I'm going to be teaching a course called The Great Flu Epidemic or Pandemic of 1918 and the Great COVID Pandemic of 2019. How do they compare? This will be on Wednesdays, starting on October 6th, and will go 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. It will be a Zoom class. So in March 1918, one of the largest pandemics to strike the world started in Kansas. Over the next 2 years, in 4 waves, 25 to 50 million people died all over the world. Nearly a third of the world's population contracted the H1N1 influenza A virus, the so-called swine flu or misnamed Spanish flu. In December 2019, a new type of coronavirus was discovered, SARS-CoV-2, that started first in Wuhan, China. It quickly spread across the world and led to having affected over 250 million people and caused almost 5 million deaths. It is, of course, still ongoing. And when I submitted this course proposal, I was hoping we would be past it, but we're not. How many more waves we will have after this current 4th wave, we don't know yet. This class will review the history of both pandemics and compare the various ways that the countries around the world and our own states have tried to cope with it. The science and the politics of pandemics are inextricably linked, and I will try and provide science's best advice on halting the current pandemic as we go through the course. That means I'll be providing weekly updates on the science, current myths, and misinformation that is being promulgated. I hope you join me.
Thank you. Next, we have Meena Gia.
Hi, everyone. This is Meena Gia. I'm currently a faculty member at FSU and running the FSU Survey Foundry and ISPA. It's my great pleasure to return to OLLI to teach for this semester after pandemic. So the class I'm going to teach this semester's title is Introduction to Chinese Political System. So the class meets every Wednesday from 2:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. for 6 weeks since starting from October 6th. We will meet on Zoom, so it's an online Zoom class. The class is not a language class, so speaking Chinese is not required. Neither I'm going to teach anything related to the language, but you might pick up some Chinese words as a byproduct of the class. This class is an introduction of Chinese political system, including like revolution, 1949, and then political reform, cultural revolution. So we will talk a lot of political topics happened in China since 1949. That's why I call it Introduction to Contemporary Chinese Politics. Furthermore, we will talk about the current topics you might be very interested with. For example, the media policy, Hong Kong policy, family planning policy. China might be one of the few countries in the world we have seen a huge policy shift in recent years. For instance, the family planning policy. I remember when I first taught for OLLI, same class, we were talking about one-child policy. That's one of my major topics. But then 2 years later, when I taught for OLLI again, we were talking about two-child policy. And this semester, I'm going to talk about three-child policy. So just for example, that this is the huge shift of the Chinese government policy. Also, if I'm teaching Chinese politics, then I think it's not avoidable of talking about the Wuhan COVID-19 outbreak. So I'll provide updates of weekly news on Chinese politics related to COVID, and also we will go through the timeline of COVID-19 outbreak in Wuhan, and also the first response of Chinese government. So we'll also discuss a lot of human rights complaints about Wuhan people after the outbreak and the related political policy issues. I promise I'll make this a fun class, so I'm looking forward to see you guys in my class. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Howard Talley.
My class, Principles, Politics, and Preferences at the Supreme Court, will begin the first of its 3 sessions on the opening week of the Supreme Court term. It's a Wednesday afternoon class, 2 hours, 2:30 to 4:30 on October 6th, 13th, and 20th. This will be my second OLLI course. Last term, I did one on race matters in the Supreme Court, and that was dealing with a single issue. In this class, I'll be looking in the first session at the 200-year history of the court and its evolution. In the second session, I'll focus on the Roberts Court between 2007 and 2021. And then in the final week on October 20th, I'll review the major decisions rendered last term. The first when Justice Amy Coney Barrett was on the court. And then I will preview upcoming cases on the docket that include cases on abortion, capital punishment, free speech, state secrets involving domestic CIA operations, and Second Amendment gun rights. Recently, the court has been in the news because of its shadow docket, when it has been rendering emergency orders without a full hearing and briefing in the Supreme Court. More about that when the class begins. And I look forward to those with an interest in the judicial process. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Neil Stronberg.
Hello, my name is Nell Stronberg, and my course is the Library of Congress, America's Library. It is going to be on Wednesday, starting October 27th from 2:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Zoom. I was a docent at the Library of Congress for 2 years. I led weekly tours for public and private groups. Many people think of the beautifully decorated Jefferson Building in the Library of Congress as the library, but it's so much more. In the classes that I'll have and that I'm leading, I'll bring to the participants in the first session history of the library and the purpose of the Library of Congress. And then we will look at the several buildings that comprise the library. There are buildings in Fort Meade, Maryland, and in Culpeper, Virginia, as well as 2 of the 3 buildings that are on Capitol Hill. In the second session, we're going to take a virtual tour of the Library of Congress Jefferson Building. And in the third session, we will go into more detail and depth about a few of the exhibits and places in the library, such as the Blashfield Collar in the main reading room, Jefferson's reconstituted library, the Gutenberg Bible, of which we hold one of 3 complete copies on vellum in the world, and the 1507 Waldseemüller map, which is considered America's birth certificate, and it was talked about in the map class. We will look at pictures of the contents of President Lincoln's pockets on the night that he was assassinated. There are over 170 million items in the library's collection, and I hope you will join me in discovering a small part of this treasure trove. Thank you.
Thank you, Nell. Next, we have Jamie Zimchuk.
Hi, I'm Jamie Zimchuk, and I'm teaching A Story of Self, The Magic of the Memoir. And this is actually a 6-session class. However, I think unlike a lot of the other classes, we have a 3-week break in the middle, because though active participation of this sort is not required, we encourage you to take those 3 weeks to do some writing, because in the first 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about the basics of memoir writing, from the different types to figuring out your focus, to understanding how plot points can help make your memoir better. And through these, which will include the front half with some lecture and the back half with some in-class activities that will help you as you then go and do some writing during the week, if you so desire. And then the back half will be looking at how you're editing on different levels, from copy editing to content editing. And we wrap up with talking about publishing and self-publishing. And this is actually, we did this last term as well. And we had a really great range of participants, including one delightful lady who at 91, we were able to help self-publish her memoir. And so we had a really good time, and we would love to see a fun new group this time. So this again is on Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern, starting September 29th. It is a Zoom class, and there is the break. So it'd be September 29th, October 6th, October 13th. And then there are 2 Wednesdays off, resuming November 3rd, 10th, and finishing on the 17th. Just in time for you to tell your whole family about the memoir that you wrote over Thanksgiving dinner.
Thank you. Next, we have Bruce Judd.
Hi, my session is exploring Paris and discovering the architecture, art, and romance of the City of Light. It's the same session that I gave in the spring, and I guess it's backed by popular demand. It's a hybrid class, so you need to choose whether you're going to be there in person or on Zoom. There are 2 sessions. Wednesdays on October 20th and 27th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and it is going to be at the Gathering Space at the Ohana Institute. Paris is the most visited city in the world and one of the most beautiful. We will take a virtual PowerPoint tour of the historic parts of Paris, the buildings, the structures, the bridges, parks, museums, and the unusual and the little-known gems hidden throughout the city. We will learn why Paris is located why it is, how to tell the left from the right bank, and learn something about the summer beaches that are created in Paris. We'll also look at little-known details about well-known monuments, such as the hidden office atop the Eiffel Tower for Gustave Eiffel, and the very large library at the Garnier Opera House. We'll also learn about lesser-known monuments, such as the circular Arago medallions that are spread across Paris, the 2 remaining windmills of Paris, and the last remaining vineyard that is still in Paris. The city changed radically between 1848 and 1870 with major new thoroughfares that connected many of the new civic buildings, including the Opera House, the Arc de Triomphe, the Eiffel Tower, and major new parks. We will see the effect of these changes and find the resulting boulevards, buildings that were created, glass-covered walkways, and small parks and beautiful gardens that are in Paris. All of these will be described in detail with photographs, maps, and sketches to give you an intimate understanding of the City of Light. I hope this course will be a useful guide as Paris reopens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Michelle Pasowitz and Robin Trindale.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Pasowitz, a program administrator with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, and I'm one of the lead instructors in a 6-week course offered this fall via Zoom. The first half of the 6-week course, I'll be instructing on the study of the Florida manatee, and it will be held on Thursdays starting October 7th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And each week we'll be diving into different topics such as manatee biology, manatee research, and manatee management.
So good day, I'm Robin Trindale, and I will be teaching about Florida's marine turtles on Zoom from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern, again on Thursdays, October 28th, November 4th, and November 18th. So there are 5 species of marine turtle that occur either in Florida's coastal waters or nest on our sandy Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico beaches. So I'll introduce you to these marine reptiles, focusing on the most abundant species nesting in our state, the loggerhead sea turtle, and the green sea turtle, whose nest numbers have increased exponentially over the past 10 years. So we'll discuss all species and Florida's unique relationship with each. So I currently serve as the state's administrator for management programs to promote the conservation and recovery of these threatened and endangered species for the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. And this is a role I've had over the past 26 years. So we'll also discuss the challenges of conserving these species during a time of increasing human population, development, rising sea levels, and decreasing habitat amounts and quality. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Heather Whitaker.
Hi, do you use Microsoft Word? Do you ever get frustrated trying to get it to do what you want it to do? If so, you're not alone. I'm Heather Whitaker, a writing coach and editor, and I've spent years learning how to get the most out of Microsoft Word. I've taught a bunch of classes for OLLI over the last 8 years or so, and in the past on the craft of writing. And I'm looking forward to now being able to write on this new topic where I'm going to be helping all writers learn how to better use Microsoft Word. So we're going to learn a lot of important tips and tricks, from like time-saving shortcuts to deciphering formatting to getting the most out of Microsoft Word's newest editor, which, if you don't know, they have not just spelling and grammar now, but also things like clarity, stronger vocabulary, and conciseness. So this class is going to be geared towards writers of all levels, whether you're writing an annual holiday letter for family, or maybe you're creating a report for work, or you're writing your second novel. This will also be a small class so that everyone can get kind of personalized help. That also means that it may fill earlier. So if you are interested, then sign up soon. We'll be meeting Thursdays from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. starting October 7th, and I hope to see you there.
Thank you. Next, we have Brad Rower. Brad? Okay. David Meyer-Levy.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is David Meyer-Levy, and I have the honor of teaching at FSU OLLI. My course will be 6 Biblical Conundra and how various disciplines of science and archaeology can help us decipher them. I'll be beginning on October the 7th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and each class will be 2 hours long, 6 classes for 6 conundrums. The first will be the creation story. How does it stack up when compared to the creation story created by modern cosmologists, astrophysicists, and astronomers? It's a rather surprising situation. Second will be the flood, Noah's flood. Is it just a simple fairy tale, or can meteorology help us figure out what actually happened? Similarly with Abraham, a very interesting guy who actually pimped his wife to the Pharaoh of Egypt. The Bible tells us so. Why did he do that? Archaeology can tell that. And so forth. We'll talk about the Exodus in session 4 and what evidence, direct or indirect, there is for that. The kingship, the reign, and the dynasty of King David. Was it real, or a mytho-epic story created much later? And we'll conclude with the Dead Sea Scrolls and the light that they throw upon Jesus and the beginnings of Christianity. So I look forward to seeing you guys. I encourage you to join the class. You can find me on page 17 of the catalog, and we'll be meeting October 7th, 14th, 21st, 28th, and then November 4th and 18th. We're going to skip the 11th. I look forward to seeing you all.
Thank you. Next, we have David Proctor.
Okay, hello, everyone. I'm David Proctor, chair of the history department at TCC, and I'm thrilled to be invited back for another round of OLLI. It's so much fun, and I hope that you can join me with that. But we're going to do a grand sweep through the Middle Ages. We'll start with the fall of Rome, fall of the Western Empire, Germanic kingdoms. Hey, you guys remember Beowulf from high school? Charlemagne, the ever popular Holy Roman Empire. Not an empire, not Roman, and far from holy, but we will do it. Oh, Crusades, society, religion, everything. It's just going to be a great time. And we will go as hard as we can and get up to 1300s Renaissance and call it a course. But looking forward to it. Hope to see you all there. So everyone suit up in your finest chainmail armor and get ready for a great time. The class will meet on Thursday evenings via Zoom, of course. And so we'll start at 5 o'clock on, I believe, October 7. So it'll be 5 to 7 all Zoom, and hope to see you then. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy Atwood.
Hello, my name's Randy Atwood. My class is called News in the Time of COVID-19. It's from 5 to 7 p.m. on Thursdays. For about 9 years, I was the opinion editor and other things at the Tallahassee Democrat. Recently, I switched over to become the deputy Florida planning editor for the USA Today Network, Florida. I'm still based at the Democrat, but now I oversee content planning and sharing for 19 daily newspapers, from small ones like the Leesburg Daily Commercial and the Northwest Florida Daily News in Fort Walton Beach, to large ones like the Palm Beach Post and the Florida Times Union in Jacksonville. So I'm part of both a hometown newspaper and one of the biggest media companies in the world. I work on news, sports, business, features, entertainment, in print and online, and due to COVID, I do it from my living room. So I'm excited to tell you all about how news is reported, written, edited, the difference between news and opinion, the real lowdown on fake news, the latest technology, how we know what people are reading and what they skip, and what news is going to look like in the future. I may even have some guests from the newsroom pop in and answer some questions. I hope you'll join me.
Thank you. Next, we have Jamie Williamson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Williamson, and I'm pleased to be offering another OLLI class this term. My class this time is called Using Conflict to Improve Your Relationships. It's a 2-session course. It's on Thursdays, October 28th and November 4th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Central Time. It's also going to be one of the hybrid courses, so you can attend over Zoom or you can attend in person at Ohana Institute's gathering space. I'm a family mediator and a relationship counselor. So much of my professional work and many of my days I spend helping people resolve conflict. People rarely believe me when I tell them this, but I promise you, conflict can have a really surprisingly positive impact on your close personal relationships. There's no reason to avoid it, but there is every reason to learn how to use appropriate and effective communication strategies during conflict, because that's what can bring about the positive impact. In our class, we'll focus on the social psychological theories that help us analyze conflict. We'll look at conflict styles, conflict step patterns, and conflict processes, and we'll use all of this information to differentiate between helpful approaches to conflict and harmful approaches to conflict. We'll start with completing an assessment that helps you will understand your own conflict style, your own default style, of course, because then we'll help you learn different ones. We'll learn effective processes for initiating conflict when you've got what would be called a solvable problem. But what most people don't realize is that 80% of the problems that occur in close relationships like marriage or relationships with your adult children, relationships with close friends, 80% of those problems are not considered solvable. They're considered perpetual. And so we have to learn how to manage them. We have to learn how to deal with them constructively because they're never going to go away. And so unless you want to just keep rehashing them over and over again and having the same conversation, you got to learn how to manage the non-solvable problems as well. A lot of people avoid conflict, some people at all costs. They avoid conflict because they've learned through their experience that engaging in conflict is hurtful to them, it's hurtful to the other person, and can lead to what we might consider fights or yelling at each other. But conflict done well doesn't have that outcome at all. So if you can deal with conflict in a good way, it can actually help you improve your relationships. So I hope you'll join this class and that we'll work together as a group to learn these positive approaches, and that way you can help your relationships grow stronger and better. You can increase and deepen the intimacy in your relationships, and that's all your close personal relationships at home, your intergenerational family relationships, and the relationships that you have with your friends and people in your community. So I hope you'll join me.
Thank you. Next, we have Stan Rosenthal.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stan Rosenthal, University of Florida Extension Agent Emeritus, and I'm a forester, and I'm going to teach a tree identification course, and it will be in person, but all outside in the great outdoors. It's going to be October 22nd with October 29th as a rain date. Hopefully that won't have to use it. It'll be at the beautiful Eleanor Clips Clap Park. It's on the west side of Tallahassee. It's just gorgeous. What we'll do is it'll be from 10 till 2, and we'll just go for a walk in the woods. And what I'll do is I'll tell you about the different trees that are there, other kind of things I'll kind of fit in about how the plants are. It's a very diverse tree forest. As we walk through these different areas, we'll get into different types of forests. It's interesting to note that if you go just west to the Torreya State Park, just west of Tallahassee, that's the most diverse forest in the U.S., second only to the Smoky Mountains. So we got a lot of material to work with, but don't worry, we'll keep it simple as we can, have a lot of fun. I limit the class to 15, so I know it's a little competition to get into it. Hope to see you guys there. Should be fun.
Thank you. And now I'm going to turn the presentation over to Jack Mapstone, our first Vice President, for closing remarks.
As soon as I get it unmuted. Oh, yeah. You know, there are a few things that make OLLI at FSU, I think, just one of the best in the country. We have a great membership. We have volunteers that love to do what they do, the administration, and we have, I think, probably the best instructors on record. To them, I say your variety, your quality, your enthusiasm in your presentations, that's what keeps us coming back each semester. And for that, I say thank you. For those members who did not see a presentation today, that missed their instructor, please go to the OLLI website, that's olli@fsu.edu, to view the appropriate video. And finally, to all of you who are listening here, I say, let's get this party started.